Hello, everyone, and welcome to Leverage, the show where we talk about product building. In this podcast, we learn how to leverage product management, no code, and AI to build a successful product and grow your business as a company or solopreneur. In this podcast, we interview product managers, product builders, makers, indie hackers, and solopreneurs to help you build your own success. And today, we are talking about building public and indie hacking with Alexandre. Thanks for joining us, Alexandre.
Thanks for inviting me.
Do you prefer Alexandre or Alexander? Alex?
Alex is fine. It's probably better.
All right. I keep Alex. It's shorter.
Mm.
Okay. So, Alex, you've launched over 20 products and now you live off the revenue from them. Can you walk us through your journey from being like a web and mobile developer to becoming a successful indie hacker?
Yeah, sure. So first thing, I've been a developer for more than 10 years now. I started to work as a mobile app developer in 2013. I have a bachelor degree in mobile app development. I've worked in several type of companies, web agencies, bigger companies, insurance companies, etc. And so the first step was to become a freelancer. Since the beginning, actually, I've been working on my own projects, even before being a professional. When I was still a student, even in high school, I was already working on my own projects.
Already?
But then, I
What did you build then?
Actually, I was coding on my calculator. In high school, we had like kind of powerful calculator, and I was like creating small programs in it, entering like a mathematic formula, even though I didn't really need to do it, but doing it for fun. So I kept working on it as a student at university, and then when I started to work, but I kind of stopped it for a moment because when I was working, my first contract, my first job was working in a web agency, and we were only 3 developers with a lot of work, and I was working like crazy, so I had to slow down on this. And then I wanted to become a freelancer because I realized I could make more money while having more freedom. And I knew it was a good way as well to start again working on my own projects and to dedicate more time on this. So I became a freelancer in 2018. And at that point, I started again to work on my own projects, my own products. And slowly, I was not paying that much attention to them. I was just doing the indie hacker first mistake, just creating product and let them leave without talking about them, which is a big mistake. But at some point, one of my projects took off like naturally. I didn't really do anything with it, and thanks to SEO, it kind of took off. But I had a lot of work at that moment, so I kind of put it on the side, which was another mistake. I should have taken more time on it.
What was the product?
It was Suit Me Up, an AI product that generates a picture of people wearing a suit.
Oh, yeah.
I launched it at the very beginning of the AI wave. It was in the beginning of 2023. So a few months after Peter Rivers launched the project, Avatar AI or something like this, it was called at that moment.
Yeah, so did you test it?
I tested it. And I thought it cool. And I think my project worked thanks to him, actually, because it started a wave and more people were looking for this kind of projects. And it started to work thanks to SEO, actually. And I should have put effort on it at that time. It was already making around $500 a month, which is not bad.
Not bad,
but I was working for clients, and I let it live. And then, so it was last year, and last year I worked a lot for big clients, a big French company. And I made a lot of money during that freelance contract. And like this year, I was like, okay, now it's time. I have project that start to work. I kind of know how to create them, and I have enough savings to go full-time or mostly full-time on working on my own projects. So in March this year, I said, okay, now full-time on indie hacking.
That's nice.
And
how much,
since then,
how much did you save? How much did you have? Not the amount of money, but I mean the amount of time that you could cash in, that you have enough cash in your treasury to stay.
I can even say the number. It was around 15K euros. Having my girlfriend, which has a good salary as well, I could easily live off a year on this. I still use this saving because I'm starting to have like the equivalent of a French minimum salary with my own products.
The famous SMIC.
Exactly. I think we'll talk about it later as well. But
Yeah.
it's still not enough for the life
Mm.
I want. So I still use my saving, which I'm perfectly fine with it. But yeah, slowly I live off my own projects without having to take that much of my savings.
What's your target again? Because it's on your in your bills line on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Okay, monthly?
5K is my first target.
That's the
Actually,
first
it's
target.
10K, but it's too long to put in my LinkedIn bio. So
Yeah.
I'm
It's
starting
too-
with 5K and
yeah.
hopefully soon to.
Yeah. That's a nice number. And the
Mhm.
SMIC, just to explain to you, maybe the audience who are not maybe French speaking, the SMIC in
Yeah,
France, in Belgium, we don't have that. But it's kind of the minimum wage, I don't
wage,
know.
minimum salary. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of something like that. So, which is kind of what we all dream about, like passive income, right? And I
Mhm.
think we go back to that. I think it's a clever strategy. And I was thinking about that, like when I started freelancing, like, okay, if I freelance, I can do 3 years freelancing, put enough cash, and then
Exactly. Yeah.
trying stuff, building some stuff out here and there. And after a while, I was like, okay, I don't know. Do you know the FIRE movement?
Oh yeah, it's like retire early, something like
Yeah,
this. I
something like
don't
that.
remember exactly.
Do you invest maybe? I don't know.
No, I should.
Okay.
But I should take more time to
Yeah.
learn how to invest because I
Yeah.
don't want to mess. Actually, I was planning to buy gold, for example, because I think it's a safe purchase, even though
Mm,
the prices are increasing very fast.
yeah.
So I don't know if the future is going to crash and then go up again. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is exactly the kind of stuff I have to learn
Mm.
before investing, but I really like to invest in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good. But the first investment, that's not, you know what, when we put that in a crypto world, a Web3,
Yeah.
this is not investment advice. But the first good investment you can do, it's in yourself. So if you can educate
Yeah,
yourself a bit on investing wisely,
exactly.
it's good. But if you have also another source of investment, it's your skills. So
Mhm.
if you can build better, ship product faster, we'll come back to that with the stack we use to ship faster and stuff like that. I think it's even worse because that means it's even better, even best, because you can generate revenue and you can scale by yourself. You don't need
Yeah,
to,
exactly.
rely on the market, on the stock market to go up or down. You rely on your own skills and mindset to say, okay, I can do it. I can make more money if I want to. If I put, okay, doing like an application, I can
Yeah.
generate like 100K later. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
also a kind of
absolutely.
investment. A bit more risky, of course, because it's you in the market and you are living in a stochastic world. So your product might be a flop or
Yeah,
a top, depending on the people, because you are random. People are super random.
exactly.
So not sure that you're gonna make money 100% on the time if you launch a product, but come back to that later as well because I'm talking too much here. So you define yourself as a indie hacker. What is indie hacking? How do you define indie hacker?
Okay, so to me, indie hacking is, as the name explains, being independent, which I think does not mean being 100% solo. It's just being independent in our own projects, products, and what we want to create and to do. Probably working with some other people, because at some point, if you scale sufficiently, you need to anyway externalize some of your work.
Yep.
But yeah, the main idea of indie hacking is to work on your own products, to be independent on it, and to bootstrap them. That's my definition.
Yeah, I really like it. I think you are the second indie hacker in this podcast. We welcomed Martin Donadieu. Maybe you know him.
Yeah, I know him. He's a friend of mine. Yeah.
Ready? So you already exchanged together?
Yeah, because we are both developers and working on the same technologies, which is a very specific mobile app technology. In France, I don't know how many experts on that technology there is, but I would say honestly, with our experience, I would say not even 10.
Okay.
So we know each other because we are in the same sphere as well, like in the hacking. He's way ahead of me because he's having way better MRR and he has more experience, but we evolve in the same area. And yeah, he already brought clients to him, and he's sometimes giving me prospects. So yeah, we talk together some once in a while. Yeah,
That's interesting. What's the mobile app tech?
it's Capacitor and Ionic, mainly Capacitor,
Yeah.
which allows a developer or a company using this technology to create an app for both iOS and Android with only one code base and JavaScript. And it doesn't matter the framework you use. It doesn't matter the JavaScript or TypeScript framework you use. by using Capacitor on top of this framework, you can create a mobile app for iOS and Android. So this
Oh
is
yeah, I saw it. Ionic.
what we work on.
That's interesting because I was checking Capacitor. I didn't know Capacitor before that. I was more into Angular and stuff like that before.
Mm-hmm.
In another word. And I was like, but where is the banner on the top of the Capacitor website? And I was like, oh, this is an OutSystem company. I was like, oh, that's very weird because it's a low code, company. They put that everywhere, like OutSystem, low code platform. You own a code-based framework. So that was very clever. What do you think about no code, by the way?
Actually, I've never really looked into this. I think it's powerful because I see actually indie hacker creating tools thanks to no code. I think it will help a lot of people to start indie hacking without having that much development knowledge. But I still think, at least right now, it has too much limitations to allow anyone to create a proper SaaS or something like this for small products. I guess it's enough. Actually, I'm sure a lot of no-code products are being created by indie hackers and making money. But I think depending on what you want to create, it can be limited, at least for the moment.
There are some cool no-code stack that are more scalable and not monolithic because everybody knows Bubble, right? So if you talk about Bubble, it's very monolithic. You have the front and back, everything in one app. But you have more and more like decoupled tech stack. You have like the front and the back, and sometimes you also talk about backend as a service, like Superbase or Sano, and then you have like front end. So there is this second generation tools of no-code tools that allows you to build more scalable, I would say, applications. Okay, it still has some limitations, of course. You still have to check the price and so on, the vendor login, all those pros and cons of no-code. But I'm not here to talk about that. But I still like code. And actually, we'll talk about that later because now, thanks to AI, you can build so much faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you already try a cursor maybe?
No. I've heard about Cursor like a lot the last weeks.
Yeah.
And the tab is open on my browser, so I have to try it. I know.
Yeah.
And I've seen the demo, but I'm like, yeah, I need to take like 1 hour at least to try it.
To test
I'm
it.
sure it's worth it. But yeah, definitely I'm going to try it soon.
Yeah, that's interesting because we were talking about like no code can help more and more, I would say, non-tech guys going the indie hacker way. Do you believe that indie hacking is dead then?
I think actually it's starting because there is so no code is going to create a new movement. But new code and AI, but I think there is more and more developers. And I think the job offers are not going to follow that trend. So I think a lot of developers will kind of run out of jobs and will start to create their own products because thanks to the popularity of people like Peter Levels or Matlu, developers know it's not easy, but they know they can create their own product and live of it. So I guess a lot of them, the ones that for whom it's harder to find a job or contracts, are going to start to create their own products. And this is why I think it's a beginning of a new wave of indie hacking. So to me, it's not that it's actually the opposite. It's just my opinion. It's not saying it's true, but it's what I think.
I'm asking that because there is one guy, maybe you know him, Harvit Kal. He's also a podcaster, the very well-known guy in the indie hacking world. And he was saying, indie hacking is dead, but actually he wanted to say indie hacking is evolving. It's not less hacky than before because now, and I do believe also in that it's becoming more and more corporate, so you can see the vibe. It's coming from the indie hacker way to enterprises. You have this mindset of quickly iterate things, doing MVPs, being more like entrepreneurs in companies. And with no code now, you have like non-tech guys also trying to build their own app. And once you build and once you create something, once you test it, once you have the taste of I can build something, there's like this feeling in you that you want to create something and monetize it. I mean, not all the time, but I do feel that that's why I was asking that question. Like, is it the end of indie hacking or just the incorporation? I don't know. The name of indie hacking.
I see more and more indie hackers or entrepreneurs that create their own products in the final goal of selling them as well.
Yeah.
So can we still talk about indie hacking in that case? I think so, but still if the goal is to sell it, like create, I don't know, one project every 6 months, every year, and the final goal is to sell it. It's more like an enterprise mindset that indie hacking. So yeah, it's definitely changing, I think, but still the movement is
It's like a build to sell. It's like the exit.
exactly.
You think about the exit before the start.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. There's also some great newsletter like little exit, tiny acquisition. Okay, that's also great resources. Talking about those tiny acquisition and the guy, what do you think about MicroSaaS?
I think there are great ways to start indie hacking and to create new products. I think they are usually the target like a very specific feature and they answer a very specific need. So I think it's definitely a good way to become a successful indie hacker and make money. I see more and more MicroSaaS, and even the word SaaS and MicroSaaS, I see it more and more. A few years ago, it was not that popular, and I think maybe AI and no code as well helps to bring popularity to this kind of product. But yeah, I think it's a good way to create fast because it's MicroSaaS. It's not like big products.
Yeah.
To create something fast, to test the market, and maybe to make money out of it.
Talking about that, we mentioned that you did web development before in an agency, and then you switched to freelancing to get more freedom. What else? What do you sell today? Do you still do some freelancing? Because you mentioned Capacitor as a freelancing and then products. Can you maybe share with us in percentage the amount of time you spend on building and the amount of time on freelancing or other things if you sell other things?
So last year, for example, I spent like 90% of the time on freelancing, and it was only mobile app contracts for Capacitor and Ionic. I worked for a very big company, like I said, it's a French company, it's called Suez. They handle most of the water and gas network in France. So it's a very, very big company. So I helped them create a new version of their app that is used by thousands of thousands of persons in France. And like I said, thanks to this, because it's a big company, they have a lot of money, so I could be paid a lot. This year, I'm like 99% working on my own products. I only worked on for 2 clients. One was like 5 days and the other one was 2 days. And actually it's after the second one that I said like, okay, I'm done with freelancing. It was because this specific contract was a pay. Like it was terrible. I spent so many hours trying to debug something, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm going with clients, and I'm going 100% on indie hacking. Right now, it's like 100% on indie hacking.
That's excellent, because that means you have more bargaining power. You know, like, oh, do I like this kind of mission? No, yes, and then you can decide, okay, I go for this or no, and it brings you so much power, you know, to have your own. And again, with independence, financially independence movements, like you are more sovereign in your decision, more intentional, because you are not seeking money. You try to put money aside to make sure it's okay, but you can have some revenue. It's kind of renting. When you buy an apartment, a real estate, and then you rent it and you get some revenue. I think one day we might see, I think, kind of a rent a website, and then you can also get the revenue from it. For example, if I ask you, Alex, can you build a SaaS for me? And then we do 50-50, you know, I invest, you know, this kind of the renting.
Okay. Yeah. I've never thought of this, but it kind of something can happen. Yeah. I
think one day or another we'll see a platform with this kind of a service, like you can rent a website and get the revenue.
Yeah.
What do you seek then in your, you know, what motivated you to build your own products? What do you seek in that? Is it like just freedom or something else?
It's mainly freedom, but like I said, so it's mainly freedom in the way that I don't want to work for clients anymore. I want to work on my own products. I want to make my own money. I want to take responsibility of my mistakes, but as well of my successes. But it's also because I love it. Like I mentioned, I started to create my own products like when I was a teenager in high school. So this is something I would do anyway. Even if I was working 50 hours a week for a client, I would try to find a couple of hours a week to work on my own products. So it's like at the same time is to have more freedom, making more money, have my own freedom, but as well as I couldn't not work on my side project. Even if I were a millionaire making that much money on my products, I would still try and create new things. So what I seek in the end is more freedom, but as well just to have fun and enjoy my.
Yeah, that's very interesting to see that we are kind of all seeking more freedom and fun. And I was wondering, like, what do you define as a successful life, a meaningful life? Do you have like a vision, like, okay, this is the way my perfect life should be? What would you improve right now in your life, for example?
I'd say the best because we can say whatever we want, but still we live in a world in which money rules everything. I'll say kind of being successful in like what one should seek in their life is to
Mm,
be 100% independent in terms of finances,
yep.
which means being able to purchase anything you want as long as it gives you enough comfort in
Mm,
your life. Doesn't mean being able to buy Lamborghini every month or whatsoever, but to have a comfortable life.
yes.
But as well to not be dependent on the state and the government because
Yeah.
we live in an area in which a lot of things are uncertain. We don't know
True.
what's going to happen like in a few years. It can be a war, it can be a big economic crisis or whatsoever. And we should not rely on any third party to
Yeah.
help us in life because we never know if it's going to be helpful and going to happen or not. So I
Exactly.
guess the final goal is just to be 100% independent in all the aspects of life. And this is what I want to reach in the next few years.
Love it. Like this idea, because this is weird. It's a bit counterintuitive, because when we embrace uncertainty, at a certain point, we have like, oh, we are living in this very uncertain environment, AI, war, government, everything is like, you know, very overwhelming. And actually, when you embrace uncertainty, you find a way to overcome the uncertainty and say, oh, whatever can, it can happen to everything. It can happen to everything. Enough confidence to do my own thing and stay, relevant and say, okay, the world can crumble. I will be able to stay relevant in the future. And actually, as you said, successful indie hackers like Mark Lu, because you didn't mention it yet, but or Peter Levers, they make millions, right? And I don't think they are 10 times happier than a normal indie hacker, right? I think happiness is a plateau, right? And we have also some literature on that, like people who are earning a million per year, you increase their salary by 10%. Just going to say, oh, okay.
Yeah,
But if you are living
exactly.
on a SMIC, 10% is like, that's interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
There is this very like weird stuff. Do you think we can all live from our own products as indie hacker?
I think so with time and persistence. And if we find the right market, the right audience, if we work enough and if we learn enough,
Yep.
I think so. It's just a matter of accepting failure, learning, and keep working. With time, I think if we respect all these rules, in the end, we can find something that will bring enough money to live off
Yeah.
our projects. I do think anyone can do it. It's just a matter of persistence and learning and finding the right target and the right products.
I was going to ask you, where do you live now?
It's a bit complicated question because I don't. Right now, I'm in the south of France, but I'm kind of homeless with my girlfriend, which works remotely as well for a
Mm-hmm.
German company. She's from Slovenia.
Okay.
We met in Spain actually a bit more than a year ago,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been traveling since. We've been in a lot of countries, and we're kind of searching the place we want to live in. And actually, if we are in the south of France, it's because I would like to move here, but it's very uncertain. We are more about right now visiting the area to see if we can live here.
Oh yeah, exploring and exploiting.
Exactly.
Exploration, and then you should
It's a
find a
nice
good
idea.
spot. Yeah, that's good. That's good. What do you think about digital nomad life?
Before meeting my girlfriend, I was a digital nomad. I've done this for 4 years.
Ooh, man.
It was like a very good experience. I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it doesn't help to stay focused on our work because
Yeah.
it kind of messes up with your routine, except if you stay like 6 months in the same place, in which case you can have your own routine. But if you move even like every month because you have to learn everything about the new city you're in, like the transport, where to buy food, so the time, like the supermarkets are open, this kind of stuff.
Yep.
It kind of messes up with your routine as well as finding a gym if you go to the gym or
Yeah.
anything. So I really enjoyed it and I could work on my own projects while traveling.
Mm.
But I think, and this is why right now I seek my own place as well, is because I need to be focused on something
Yeah.
and stop moving every month or so and stop trying to find new habits each time. So I think it's a very good experience and it allows you to meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
But to be very productive, I don't think it's the best in the end.
Do you have a specific routine?
Yes, I would say I'm someone with a lot of routine. Like I have a kind of a morning routine, not as much as some people, but the time I wake up, I do like breathing exercise every morning.
Good.
Kind of a routine, yeah. Not as much as some, like I said. For example,
did you read the book?
I don't have. Sorry.
Did you read the book Morning Miracle?
No, I didn't.
Okay, maybe you should, but it's for
Yeah.
people who really want to wake up super early and dedicate the time in the morning to do some personal development. But okay, another topic. All right, what applications got the most success so far that you built?
It's the first one I mentioned, one I developed a year and a half ago, even more than this actually, Suit Me Up. So the web application that allows you to generate pictures of yourself wearing the suit. Of like thanks to SEO, like I said, it's still it's decreasing because I think more and more competition in generated photos, pictures. So it's decreasing, but it's still let's say over time it's still the most successful product I've developed.
Can you share some metrics about like the monthly active users?
Yeah. I mean, so I can talk about this, but my other picture generating AI product, which is a Telegram bot, they're both having kind of the same success. If I put them together, I'm having around 1,000 visitors a day, more or less, and it's generating around. I mean, it depends on the month. $1,000 a month, more or less.
Cool.
And I cannot really speak of active users because it's like one shot you pay once you have your pictures and whatsoever. But I have sales every day between 5 and 10 for sure.
That's interesting.
Together.
Because everybody wants to build a SaaS with a recurring revenue model, a subscription model, but sometimes it doesn't make sense. So sometimes you have to accept to pay just once per usage.
It makes sense if the product brings you value. Every month or every day, every week, doesn't matter. If it's just one shot, well, you have to make it pay like for one shot payments. But I think even if sometimes it brings value over time, you still have to not discard the one-time payments because I think people are bored of paying each month subscriptions because they are paying a lot of things. They are paying for Netflix, a phone provider, internet provider, apartment, car, whatever you want. So I think people are tired of paying monthly subscription. So I think even for projects that last over time, you should consider one-time payments.
Yeah, agree on that. It has picture now. The app you're the least proud of?
Actually, it's the AI Telegram bot, which is the one that brings most money now. For the simple reason that to me it doesn't bring value. Because I like to, all the projects, the last project I've created are targeting developers, indie hackers, developers that are creating their side projects. And they bring value to them. For example, I have projects that help you work on your SEO, another to rank on Bing, another to give you ideas about your SaaS, another that gives you the tools you'd like to use to create your own products. So they bring value to people, and this is what I like. But my Telegram bots doesn't bring that much value to me. It's just a bot that better generates AI picture, so it's fun. But I'm the least proud of this product because it doesn't bring the value I'd like to. The value to make some money. So
it's kind of a more like B2C or mainstream service.
Exactly.
So your audience is kind of your ideal customer profile, right? So indie hackers. So for the listeners here, go check Alex landing page. He has a nice link tree. I really like it. Where you can see all his products. Talking about that, you've launched like over like 20 products, as we said. How do you come up with ideas?
Actually, I have a lot all the time. I have a Notion page full of ideas. Most of them come from my own vein. This is why as well my audience is people like me, indie hacker developers, because I solve my own issues. So it's logic that my audience and my target is people like me. But as well, I sometimes use ChatGPT to find ideas, and actually the new SaaS I'm working on, it's ChatGPT that gave me the idea.
Okay.
But most of the time, it's just my own ideas. I find a pain by coincidence, by chance, or anything, and I just write it down and work on it sometime.
Interesting. What did you ask ChatGPT? Like, find me a business idea?
Yes, actually, this one is quite
Really?
funny because it's my girlfriend that found it for me. I can tell
Excellent.
the story quickly.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wanted to work. So I have lots of ideas for SEO products
Yeah.
because I'm very good at SEO and programmatic SEO
Oh,
especially. And I wanted to find, so I have a lot of ideas, but I wanted to find a SaaS idea with a monthly subscription because I want to have like a recurring revenue.
yeah.
But like I said, it's hard to find a product in which people would pay, for which people would pay each month. And I had a lot of ideas, but all of them were like, it wouldn't work because people would pay once for it, but not every month.
Yeah.
So I was talking about it with my girlfriend because I talk a lot about business with my girlfriends. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should ask ChatGPT. And then I left the room like to take a shower or something. And meanwhile, she asked ChatGPT, she explained my issue, what I was doing, and ChatGPT gave a list of ideas, and one was very good.
Love it.
It's actually funny because my girlfriend is not a developer. She doesn't have that much technical knowledge.
Yeah.
And maybe this is why it worked because she was quite generic in her question. She was not too
Yeah.
specific in tech. And maybe if I had asked something very specific, like mentioning technologies, maybe I wouldn't have had the right answer.
Yeah.
So yeah, quite funny.
This is the perfect example of the experience of curiosity and creativity. Like you change perspective, you let your girlfriend ask questions to ChatGPT, and then it came up with an idea for you, a business idea to develop for you. That's very interesting. So that's very cool because actually you've experienced I'm going to solve my own problems. And I do see sometimes this polemic, like, how do you find business idea? Do you solve your own problems or do you find problems that people are already experiencing?
Yeah.
And there is also this initiative, maybe you should check. It's a Belgium initiative called, she's from Belgium, Kat Rissen, and she launched like a build the keyword. So instead of finding a problem, trying to find a solution, still the same, but actually we did like kind of a retro engineering, and I think it's based on the Twitter of Danny Postman, saying that if you look at the CSEO of the people that are searching for some keywords, that means there is a need, there is a problem there. So you just need to build the keywords. That's the name of the challenge.
So maybe we'll talk about this later. But this is a step I follow each time I'm working on a project, and especially a B2C product. Actually, I've read this post, and I think I actually answered saying that I'm doing the same thing because I was doing the same thing even without reading it. Because, like I said, I'm kind of expert in programmatic SEO and SEO from way before, and found out that yes, of course, if you find like keywords people are searching for, like a big number, this low competition, it's very likely that people will arrive on your page. It doesn't mean they will pay for it, but they will search and arrive on your page if you have a good SEO. And so right now, if I had to start a new B2C product, I would search for keywords first. And this is what I even do even for B2C products, because it helps me to work on the SEO. And if I see like there is zero search and the competition is very high, I will not even start to work on it. So I work on my own pain and the pain I found, but I validate it by searching if people are actually searching for these keywords on Google.
What other criteria do you check? Specific criteria do you check? Just the number of keywords, the low competition you mentioned?
Yeah.
Other things?
Mainly, no, it's when I want to start, it's mainly this. I don't really validate an idea unless it takes too much time to develop.
Okay.
Maybe we'll talk about this later, but basically, in my mind, if the development stage takes less than 2 weeks, I don't validate the idea. I just work on it, and then I talk about it and see if it has some traction. If it's more than 2 weeks, I try to validate the idea, to talk to some people, to search deeper, if there is Google search, if there is like a need or whatsoever, and then I start the development. But if it's less than 2 weeks, I'm not going to spend 3 days asking people if they want it. I'm just going to do it and see after.
How do you know it's going to take 2 weeks before you start?
It's just experience. I know by experience. I've been a developer for 11, 12 years, and I kind of know if I want to develop that feature, it's going to take a few days. And basically, all the projects I've created this year, so maybe 6, 7, they all took less than a week to develop. Some even 2 days, some 4 or 5 days. And like I said, it's just experience. I know it's going to take a week, and thanks to the tech stack I have and boilerplates I kind of created for myself, I go very fast to develop.
Oh, that's cool. Because I was going to ask you what process do you follow to validate them, all these business ideas, but I think you mentioned like the process is kind of straightforward. You have this ID or from your problem or from ChatGPT, then you check the SEO naturally, and then you start developing if it takes less than 2 weeks. So,
yes, exactly. Validate it with SEO, and if the development stage, I estimate it in less than 2 weeks, I just do it right away.
Kind of the technical feasibility test, the kind of the business feasibility, not feasibility, but the business viability. And then, you have both on them. So you have like most of the time the technical feasibility, the viability, and sometimes you also have like the usability. But that's maybe something else, more on the UX side. So it's not something I guess you put an emphasis on that. I mean, UX design. I mean, indie hackers.
Yeah, this is something I have to work on, and actually maybe we'll talk about it later. But this is something I'm right now including in my test stack.
Cool. Yeah.
New
Can talk about it now.
Okay, so I know UX UI design is not my best. I think I'm the best on. Even though I'm better and better, it's not what I do the best. And so for my next SaaS, which is bigger and the target is bigger companies, not only indie hackers, but bigger companies, I have to be way better because, like, let's say CTO, CEO, or whatever, they will judge on the way my website is. They will judge on the features. They will judge on the UX and UI, not only on what it does, and especially because it's not a MicroSaaS, but it's like proper SaaS, big thing.
Ooh, so more than 2 weeks.
Yeah. I started already 2 weeks ago and I'm far from the MVP, so yeah, it's a big one. And so I'm bad with design, or I'm not the best for sure. So what I did is I looked for, because I still want to do it myself. I don't like templates because to me it's not personalizable enough. I want to be able to put the blocks wherever I want, to choose the color without having to go deep into the CSS file and extra. So I was looking for a components library, which I find one. I can give you the name if I find it's Vue. I'm using only Vue.
Oh yeah, Vue.js.
Technology, yeah, Vue.js, and the component library is called PrimeView, and
PrimeView.
It has like, I'm going to pay, it's like $99 for a library of a lot of components, and I'm going to pay for it. And this is I was working on this this morning, testing the component and stuff, and it works very well and it's nice looking. So I'm going to start using PrimeView to build my website, this website and the future ones, I guess.
Okay, I'll put the link in the description because I didn't know about Preview. I knew Vue.js. I like it because, we mentioned no-code stack and was using like Webflow and Web, and I think it's based on Vue. And you have a lot of no-code stack using Vue. Yes. Talking about programmatic SEO, we didn't mention what it is exactly. Can you maybe define it? What is exactly programmatic SEO?
Yeah. So I'm going to define programmatic SEO and then talk about my own implementation, which is slightly different. But programmatic SEO itself is a way to generate thousands, sometimes even more than this, of pages based on the same template, plus just changing the contents thanks to code. Basically, a good example is based on location. For example, let's say you are creating a website to put in a relationship teachers and students. You can think that students are going to search in their city. So basically you have dozens of thousands of SEO possibilities. Let's say a student searches like for English teacher in, I don't know, Paris, London, or whatsoever. What you're going to do is programmatically create pages that match all of these results. So London, Paris, every city you think of, without having to create the pages individually. So I'm not going to go deeply into the tech because I'm not sure everyone that will hear the podcast are very deep into tech. But basically, you just create arrays in JavaScript with all the data, you parse them, and for each element of this array, you create a page. And basically, with just hundreds of lines of code you can create hundreds of pages. And then you have to optimize these pages for them to be SEO friendly and to be indexed by Google and displayed.
Does it create like a slug too? So you have like Let's look at the page that's dynamically created, and then the content of the page too.
Actually, it's even more than this. It's all the metadata, the titles,
Okay.
the content. For example, my own implementation of programmatic SEO, I've created a service like in JavaScript. I've created components in Vue, React, and Angular. And basically, you put all of them together. You do some research about some keywords. You create your own array. And automatically, it's going to change on your web page the title, the description, the metadata, like the canonical tag. Going to change the slug, yes, and as well some data you add yourself. For example, the headers on the page, so the H1, H2, etc. But as well the content, you can change everything just in a few minutes to have like content that is perfectly adapted to the keywords. And then thanks to sitemap and some tips, you're going to help Google to run them, to index them and rank them. And this works very well.
Interesting. Do you have like any tools that?
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't hear.
Oh yeah, do you have like any tools or web applications that help you doing that? This as your programmatic.
Actually, I created my own guides that I will improve soon with adding new videos and tutorial videos. I created my own website, my own guide, which is seoprogramming.com. And so I give the codes I did for Angular, React, and Vue. I give all the service I created, and I give the 3 steps guide. So I explain how to find the keywords, how to implement them, and how to monitor it. And basically, yes. And I have free tools as well to help programmatic SEO. For example, I created an AI sitemap XML generator, which I included in my guide as well. So it's mainly, so now every website I create, I use the same service and technology. I just have basically to use my own products to improve my SEO on the next one.
Oh man, we're gonna put that in the description. Definitely, it's free tools to help the indie hackers, product makers.
I've created a few free tools around SEO to help people, but as well promote my own. I created a 34 pages long technical SEO guide as well. I created a Chrome extension to test the speed of your websites and to give you.
Oh yeah, I saw your post on that. Yeah.
It's called Speedmeter, and it gives you back all the fetch, all the code your website does, and the length of each one to see what you can improve. So yeah, and for example, this one and the sitemap generator, if you subscribe to if you allow the product to send marketing emails for a week, you will receive each day like tips about SEO and programmatic SEO, and on each email you will have a link to my own SEO products. So it's like free tools to redirect people to on their products.
Put the link in the description too. Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks.
That's good, man. You mentioned that you can reuse the same tech stack. Which tech stack exactly do you like? What's your favorite tech stack? Do you already?
Yeah. For mobile applications, which I don't do much, but it's mainly because to me, Apple and Google are pain in the ass, so I don't work that much on mobile applications.
Yeah.
It is Capacitor, Ionic, and Vue, which I'm an expert on, so I can create an application very quickly as well, quicker than Apple needs to validate it. But it's can take some time. But this is why I kind of stopped working on mobile app, even though I might go back one day. And for web developments, I use Vue.js, Vue 3.
Yep.
I use Bulma CSS framework, which is not very common. I prefer it to Tailwind.
Yeah, Tailwind is.
I use Stripe for payments, and I use Firebase for serverless technology.
Stripe, yeah. Okay, so that's the tech stack, and you already use that tech stack to build.
Yes, except for the next SaaS I just talked about, because I'm going to put Bulma on the side, use this component library, PrimeView, to help me build the website instead of doing everything myself. Even though I reuse the components I created, I know they are not good enough for B2B products. So
yeah, how do you decide then between Ionic, Capacitor, and Viewers? Which technology stack you're going to use for a project?
It depends on the project itself. Like if it's a mobile app, of course, I'm going to go on Capacitor and Ionic and Vue, because this is what I'm an expert in. And for a web application, I'm going to reuse the same stack. Like I said, it can change sometimes. For example, for some product, if I use AI, of course, I'm going to use AI library. But yeah, it's Depends on the product. Yeah, but basically, I try to stay on the same stack as much as I can to build faster and ship faster.
And then you have like, you mentioned a boilerplate that you reuse, like a template?
Kind of, yeah. It's not really a boilerplate because I'm kind of too lazy to create it. I just copy and paste it from one project to another. So
Yeah, okay.
I've created kind of services that are not linked to any project, like Authenticator, this kind of stuff, some
Yeah.
models, some services. I use a lot Telegram. I've created a Telegram bot, for example, and I use it to send me notification when I have an error, when an error is triggered on my code. So I have a service to send me notification through my Telegram bot. So I just have to paste it on another project. And this is how I have my own boilerplates, and I have some CSS file as well. I just copy, but that's not really a boilerplate, just cut snippets I use again.
Yeah, okay, like that. Yeah, that's interesting because I've checked your director of tools, like for indie developers, indiedev.tools. And I've seen some, fast dev and all those boilerplates that indie hackers are offering nowadays. I'm also trying to build my own tech stack to, productize shipping products. How do you evaluate and determine which ones are best for specific project that you put on your library? How do you select those boilerplates to put on indiedev.tools?
So first thing on indiedev.tools, various tools I add myself, like I found on other platforms like Product Hunt or Unit. And I just scrolling the pages and I try to find what can be useful to indie hackers, indie developers. And I add them on my own website, but I do it less and less. I was doing it at the beginning when not a lot of people were adding their own tools on my websites.
Yeah.
But now it had gained some traction, and I have between 5 and 10 projects that are added every week on my websites.
Okay.
So I just have to filter them, and it's perfectly subjective. I ask myself if it can help in any way indie hacker. If it does, I validate the product because it's a hand validation. I have to validate every project.
Yeah.
And if it does not, I just remove it because I guess some people added my websites to some directories of directories, and I have a lot of projects that are not related to development. Like a few days ago, I had someone added a project about, like drugs, mushrooms, this kind of stuff, which is not related at all to development. So of course, I just refused it. I have some weird projects and so on.
Which ones did you use at the beginning? Because you mentioned that you were using some WordPress at the beginning, and then you did your copy paste. Did you find any one useful?
You mean tools for indie hackers?
Yeah, the boilerplates that you used at the beginning before you developed your own.
I used, unless I don't really understand the question, I've never used myself any boilerplates. I just use code I already created. About tools, for example, I use the same one all the time. Like I said, I don't really use external tools that were developed as boilerplates or as code snippets or whatsoever. It's just more like like some things I cannot develop myself because, for example, for CSS libraries, CSS snippets or whatsoever, I do it myself. I don't try to find on the internet. But for harder, like projects that are harder to develop, for example, to send emails whatsoever, I use SendGrid, for example. So in that case, yes, I try to find a product that matches my need.
Good. I was wondering, like, what's your go-to-market strategy? We mentioned SEO already, but do you do any other actions when you want to launch a product?
Yeah. So of course, SEO is the first thing, but it starts like almost on the day zero when I start the development. I include SEO at the very beginning. So it's part of the strategy, but it's a long-term strategy. What I do, and it depends on the type of product as well, is I try to add my product on as many directories as I can. So for example, Product Hunt, Unit, but there is a lot of directories. What I do as well is I talk about it on Reddit. Reddit can be a bit harsh on products. People are very honest, maybe sometimes too honest, but at least you have good feedback on your products. And it's literally millions of users, so you will definitely have visitors, maybe not clients, but visitors for sure. I use LinkedIn as well, because now I'm starting to have a few followers. On Twitter, even though I should focus more on Twitter, but to me, it's hard for me to understand the algorithm on Twitter and LinkedIn, better on LinkedIn, but I know I have to go back to Twitter, especially because I use LinkedIn only in French. And
Yeah.
my target, my audience is like in the whole worldwide. So I should target more English-speaking audience and go back to Twitter,
Yeah.
which I will eventually. So yeah, LinkedIn, Twitter, last resort, I contact people individually if I know they would
Okay.
be interested in my project and if it's like a project whose target is smaller. But as a developer, as a lazy developer, I try to automate things as much as possible.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just posting my project on directories and using Reddit, LinkedIn, Twitter, building
Yeah.
free tools as well that will rank on Google.
Yeah. Because I was going to say when you target indie hackers, I think LinkedIn is good for corporate enterprise
Yeah,
B2B kind of, and Twitter is where indie hackers are. Makers have this feeling that, but you have a huge community also US and English speaking makers there. So it's very hard to get traction there. I also tried to be on Twitter on X. Yeah, it doesn't work like LinkedIn. I don't know. It's different. I need to understand also
yeah.
a bit
I guess first thing is the
the lingo.
competition is bigger, but
Yeah.
as well, from what I've heard, the algorithm changed a few months ago, and it's like more based on virality more than value.
Yeah.
From what
Yeah.
I've heard, even though sometimes it's related. A tweet with a lot of value can be, but apparently it's more about if it's going to be viral or not. So
Yeah.
in the hacking content, is might not be the best. If you want to talk about politics or whatsoever, it might work better.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of, I think I should put more effort on X, Twitter, but it's hard for me to know what to post and what to do on it. So I have to
To
figure
be
it out.
viral. Yeah, it's as you said, a different mindset. It's not about value, a long post explaining things. It's like
Exactly.
super short, virality, like the quotable quote or one sentence, a hot take on something like be like counterintuitive truth or stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Even images, they work very well on Twitter. Images.
Yeah, exactly. Super short. Yeah. I'm talking about to try to build an audience and why is building in public important for you?
For several reasons. First thing, I think creating a community is good as well because I see it on LinkedIn now that I'm starting to have traction. I have kind of more and more people in my DM explaining me their own products and give my opinion, and the other way around. Like the SaaS I'm working on, I contacted, I don't know, at least 10 developers on LinkedIn, but people I often talk to, not strangers, because I know they are going to take time to answer to their feedback might not be 100% objective, but they are going to take time to answer point by point about what I said. Having a community, kind of a group of people, is one of the reasons, which lead to having feedback, like I said, and advices,
Yep.
which is like required. And this is a pro of building in public.
Yep.
But in the end, of course, it can bring you subscribers and eventually clients if your building public audience is the same as your product's audience.
Yep.
But yeah, it's a lot of things together.
Can you share maybe an example of where an audience feedback influenced the direction of one of your product?
Yeah, this is a good question because this is something I've learned recently. I was very bad at marketing like a few years ago, and actually I've learned using other indie hacker products.
Okay.
And for example, on Suit Me Up, in like a whole year, I was not having any feedback. I was not even tracking users. I was not using Google Analytics. I was not using Plausible. I was using nothing. I didn't even know where they come from. I just had like $500 a day, a month, but I didn't know where they come from. So I started to implement a lot of stuff. And to having feedback, actually, I use two main ways. The first thing is one of my own product I created because I had this pain, which is called light feedback. So it's a little pop-up that pops up on your website. You just add with one line of code in your HTML, and it adds a pop-up, so you can personalize it. And when the user fills in the pop-up and send it, you receive a notification on Telegram or by email. And it's as well displayed on the dashboard on a light feedback website. So I added this on some part of my website, for example, on Suit Me Up, which I had some feedback. But the biggest thing I've done to have feedback is creating automatic emails.
Yep.
So for example, when a customer starts the process to the point they leave their email but that don't pay, there is two emails that are sent. The first one a few hours after, just offering them 10% discount.
Oh,
and if they don't use it the day after, they receive another email in which
20%
I asked
discount?
them. Sorry?
With 20% discount?
No, not even, no. In the second email, I asked them why they didn't purchase. And
Yeah.
what I did, and it works, is I personalized the email. I made them believe I'm actually writing it, and it's not a robot that is sending it.
Mm.
So I'm like, hey, I'm Alex, the creator of Suit Me Up. I've seen that you started the process but haven't purchased. And I know why. By helping me, you're going to help the product to be developed and other people. So I try to make it more human. And actually, the answer rate is quite high. I mean, not that high, but I've had a lot of answers. And I've understood for some people it was too much money, but for some people it was a question of reputation because of social proof, because they didn't know if they could trust my website or not. And I could add some social proof on the homepage, for example. So thanks to this feedback, thanks
Good.
to automatic emails, I could improve the products and in the end improve the conversion rate as well.
Yeah, so you had testimonials. How many people do answer there? 50%? Like
No, it's way less than this.
Yeah.
Say it's around 10%, but
Okay.
still, when you have I don't know 20 users a day and most of them don't pay or whatever, you have still a few answers a week, which is enough to have an idea of what's wrong
So
with your
10%,
product.
and out of those 10%, you have maybe what, like 1% who buy in the end? Or...
Yes, actually, I have some of them after the first email that use the codes to buy. Yeah.
Okay, good. So that means that it's worth this little automation that you just send two emails and you convert.
Yeah.
Churn.
Exactly.
That's very interesting. Do you think about diversifying your revenue? Do you have other strategies than product making to diversify your revenue? Or you stick to that?
Currently, also, I'm still working on my own products, but like we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, investing is something I would like to do.
Mm-hmm.
In stock options, in maybe cryptocurrency, but as well in real estate. I would like to invest in real estate because it's something that I still believe in, because I mean, a crash can occur, like an economic crash. Cryptocurrency could disappear. I mean, it's very unlikely, but they could disappear over the night. But still, if you own a house, it's not going to be blown, except if there is a war whatsoever.
If there is a war.
I hope not. But if you have a house or something, it's going to remain here. So this is something I would like to do in the future. But like I said, I don't know enough stuff in it to do it. And as well, I would like to have more revenue to commit into buying something bigger.
Oh, you want to buy something bigger? Like what?
Yeah, like houses and multiple houses and this kind of stuff. I would like to have something like this. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Where would you like to live, ideally?
Where would I like to live? Where I am right now,
city?
in the south,
Really?
the south of France.
What city it is?
Which city? It's a very small city, actually. It's good. It's like a very small village in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, it's a village, so not even a city, or...
No, it's a village.
Okay.
It's a good thing. Like my girlfriend and I, we can work remotely, like 100% remotely. So technically, we could live in a house in the middle of nowhere. No issue.
Yeah, why not Bali?
I've been to Bali actually, and I didn't like it that much.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
I prefer France and French countryside and the atmosphere and the countryside, what it looks like, the weather. And so yeah, I would like to live in that part of France. I guess the weather is nice. There's a lot of natural places. It's close to the sea, so yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting because I've heard a lot of digital nomads who or become like a lost soul. They become lost souls and they don't have a home. They don't feel at home anywhere in the world because they just travel all the time and they don't feel at home nowhere. Or they come back and they say digital nomad is overrated. And actually they mention the work and the routine as well with the good stack. You have like a big screen, a second screen. You have all the comfort that you need to, feel good. And so after a while, they come back. That's very interesting to say. Actually, we are not that bad in Europe, even if it's a region of the world which is getting older and older, right? And we have also this, talking about investment and pension crisis and stuff like that. And we have this brain drain with all the new generation going out, going to Dubai, becoming expats, and they try to go to other cities, Portugal, Dubai, digital nomad, like big city, Lisbon, Lisboa, sorry. So that's good. Thanks for sharing. France, out of France. Still, I have some.
I spent quite a lot of time in Asia and even in Latin America. And these are
Okay.
nice places, but culturally speaking, I'm too attached to Europe and to France.
Yeah.
Even though, like you said, I think it's more and more old continent, aging continents, and we don't think enough of the future, and we stay too much attached to the past, and the EU is regulating too much. It's my opinion. For example, in AI, this kind of stuff, there is too much regulation, which stops from going forward. But still, the quality of life is good. You have to be honest. Like in the French countryside, I cannot complain. We have good food, we have good weather, people are nice. So yeah, in the end, I think it's a good.
How do you see product development and indie hacking evolving in the next few years? Are there emerging trends, emerging opportunities that we should be aware of?
Yes, I think so. Like I said, I think there's going to be more and more indie hackers.
Mm.
So I think the opportunity is to target indie hackers. It's like this is one of the reasons of the success of boilerplates. It's because it's like selling shovels to gold diggers magically, but it works because like people want to go faster to reach the goal, which is natural. It's a human needs to reach a goal
Yeah,
without having to suffer that much. We don't like to suffer. We have
exactly.
to, but we don't realize it, but we don't like it. Uh, Developers and the hackers, and I do buy projects as well to go faster. And I think this is the reason of success of boilerplates. Like Mark Lu made literally $100,000 with his boilerplates.
Yeah,
It's because he's targeting indie hacker.
yeah,
And most of his product actually indie page, which is bringing more and more money as well. Targeting, yeah, because it's a movement that is going to be bigger and bigger. And people, like I said, are going to be willing to pay to have to reach their goal faster.
yeah,
So I think aiming this population is a good idea. So
yeah.
yeah, I think this is the emerging.
I think as you mentioned with AI and all these layoffs in the US, it really, it sent a message on the world like saying you're safe and you're safe nowhere. You're like, even if for me, developers were like the rock stars in the 20s. Yeah, in the 20s. And now I'm like, actually, not that much, with all this AI technology and stuff like that. So it's true that it's becoming a new wave, and all those guys, from tech layoffs, they're gonna create a new wave of more like, we're gonna be like more sovereign, as we said at the beginning of the episode. Like, I do believe in this trend because you have this new, what I like to call the renaissance. Like everybody's like launching their own, crafts, but worldwide. So it's like a worldwide village. Everybody is like the blacksmith,
Yeah.
the doctor, of the village, but the village is like worldwide. So everybody gonna build their own little product that serves like one service.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good comparison.
What are some we talk a little bit about AI, some AI driven tools or techniques that you found particularly effective?
To me as a developer, I've been using GitHub Copilot since maybe the beginning of it, and it saves me so much time. It's like having a junior developer working with me full time. So it's very huge. Using ChatGPT as well, OpenAI on some of my products, like I said, the sitemap generator, but as well, for example, on Indie Dev Tools. For each tool that is accepted, use OpenAI API to generate. Basically, what I do is I fetch the content of the website, and I create a list of pros and cons thanks to AI. So I ask the OpenAI API, I say, okay, here's a website, read it and tells me a list of pros and cons, which are added on each tool on the website. So I think AI is really something that is going to help not only developers, everyone, but being a developer, I can tell being a developer, it helps a lot as well. Like I said, yeah, I use GitHub Copilot, which like all the time it helps me a lot. We talk about Cursor, which I'm going to try, and I think is going to help out a lot of developers as well. So
Yeah, definitely. So I was reading kind of financial news last time, and there was something called like AI. Students don't go for STEM anymore. They don't go for big tech. There was like this graph about like students applying in companies in US, and you can see that the graph is like going down and down and down years after years. in those big tech companies there because they are less and less interested about tech, but actually tech will stay, for still a long time. And I think if you grasp how to build stuff by yourself, you're gonna have like a good career. So find it a little bit pity, like to say, okay, people don't want to be in tech anymore. They want to go in. I think the graph showed also the comparison with public sector, so in the government. So and you see all those students applying in government. All right. I have a question, Alex. For those who are just starting out there in the hacker journey, what advice would you give to help them navigate the challenges, and increase their chance of success?
Build a lot, ship fast, and fail fast, and learn fast. This is quite funny because a lot of not successful, but not only successful people are saying you should focus on one product and go 100% on it. I say I agree with that, but if you have failed a lot before, but because if you want to focus 100% on a product, you have to know how to create it, how to market it, and this you learn with experience. What I would say is just build fast, ship fast, and fail fast, and you will learn and try new marketing strategies. Because, for example, it's a good example of marketing. Because if you create a big product and you do some marketing and it fails completely and it ruins your product, well, you're ruined for the months of development. Meanwhile, if you create a product for a week and you try a shady marketing strategy, it's fine. It's just a 1 week product. If you throw it away, it's okay. So I say build as much as possible, iterate fast, ship fast, have feedback, learn. And then when you're ready, you find a good audience and a good idea. Yeah, you can go all in on a product. And I think, for example, it's what Marco is doing right now. He's working on a bigger product from what he said. And I think it's because he's been working on that many products before and small bets, like he said. And he's learned so much that now he's confident that he can create a big product that will sell. So yeah, the advice would be...
That's an interesting point of view, because I was wondering, like, why not focusing on one product, and make sure that, don't you think we're going to spread our focus, like having like multiple products at the same time, developing all those products at the same time, not at the same time, but more or less simultaneously with some overlaps? How do you avoid like you lose focus and you spread your effort?
So I think one of the reasons I can focus on that many projects, because I keep working on 5-6 projects at the same time. One of the reasons is the tech stack, because like I said, I use the same tech stack all the time, but as well, not only the tech stack, but the way they are built. So for example, for each of my projects, there is a user and the model is the same each time. It's a TypeScript model and it doesn't change. So basically when I switch from a project to another, I don't have to readapt myself to the code, to the tech. It's just like kind of another part of the same products. So I don't feel like switching completely from a project to another, because I feel like at home. I can leave a project aside for 3 months, go back on it, and I just need maybe a couple of minutes to remember how it works, like technically speaking. And then when it's about the features, I don't know. I think if I focus on only one product, I would lose the focus because I would be bored. My brain needs to be entertained in a way, and to work on several stuff at the same time. So I don't know, maybe it's just me, because a lot of people say, and actually it's true, that if you focus on 10 projects at the same time, you cannot put all energy in one that will succeed in the end. But I say you will fail 90% of the time. So to find that product, you will have to build 10 at the same time and to see which one is going to work. So
call that the spaghetti strategy. You launch the spaghetti and see which one stick. Do you have like a time management strategy to stay productive and avoid burnout? Because I think developing all the applications might be very energy consuming.
Actually, I don't have at all. I just have a Notion calendar, so database, just a calendar. And when I have a task in mind, I just create. I double tap on the calendar, create a task, so title, a description, and I just put it on a day I think I would have time to work on it.
Okay, so time blocking.
I don't.
Sorry? So you use like time blocking on your agenda?
It's not even time blocking. It's just task on a calendar. So it's
just a task. Okay.
Just a task, just a page created on a calendar. There is no tag, there is nothing at all. It's a big mess actually. I would be the only one to understand my own calendar. And when the task is done, I just add the check emoji at the beginning of the title of the page, and that's it.
Okay.
So every morning I reschedule some stuff, and every beginning of the week I reschedule some stuff, and that's it. I have habits as well. For example, I have a newsletter for Indie Dev Tools,
Yeah.
and I write it every Thursday morning.
Thursday morning.
I try to write blog article on Medium once a week. So every Wednesday morning I try to write an article. So having habits as well like this help me keep focus on everything.
Okay, man. Very interesting. All right, we are heading the end of the episode, so I'm gonna ask you some questions, and you can answer them like without too much overthinking about it. All right? Okay. Okay, where are you in 5 years, and what do you do?
In 5 years, I reached the goal I want, which is being 100% independent. Like it's crazy, but I see myself living in a villa, something like this, with a big pool, and being successful, being able to work on my own products whenever I want, for the time I want, and yeah, being 100% independent.
Okay. The questions you wished I asked, but I didn't.
I think I cannot think of anything because it was a very complete episode, and I think you've asked a lot of good questions, so I don't know.
All right. What brings you energy?
I like to create stuff, and I think this is what brings me energy. Just creating stuff, and I take energy out of it.
The act of creation is,
exactly.
I think this is the most powerful thing a human can do, a human being can do. It's just so powerful to create something. There's nothing 0 to 1, and you created something, you know?
Exactly.
It's like the act of God. Oh, no, right. What drains you energy?
I'm very introvert, and I really don't like to be in crowded places.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not shy. For example, I could make a speech in front of 2,000 people. I don't have any issue about it. But I don't like to be surrounded by people, and it drains my energy so fast. Having social interaction with a group for hours, like it's killing me.
I feel you. Like you have like this social jolt, social battery.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
What are your favorite creators or builders or indie hackers?
Yeah, it's a tough question. I would say like the basic ones, Peter Levels, because when I started indie hacking, he was almost the only one talking about it on Twitter, like years and years ago.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Mark Liu, because he has a very, very good, it's a very good example of being persistent, because he's been failing during years and years and now succeeding. As well, I wrote down his name. It's a guy that created kind of a job boards. I don't remember where. I think, yeah, Rodrigo Rocco. I think he's interesting because it's the same thing. He created a product years ago.
Yeah.
He knew, I guess he knew it could work because he had some traction, but he kept working on it all the time, and it became very big. And I think it's a good idea he had. So yeah.
Okay. Your favorite business book or personal development book?
I would say, I think the title is How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Oh yeah.
Which is funny because the French translation of his book, the title is completely different, and it doesn't, like, it's literally How to Make Friends.
Oh, yes.
The title in French.
Yes, I remember.
Meanwhile, the real title is How to Win Friends and Influence People. So when you read the book after the French title, you don't expect the book to be like this, and it's very interesting. It explains you a lot of things about psychology and the way people work, the way the brain works, and it's a very interesting book.
Yeah. Like it too. Read it in the university. Your favorite podcasts, if you have some? Yeah,
it's not personal development. Actually, it's a French true crime podcast because I really like true crime.
Okay.
When I work out or when I go for a walk, I usually listen to this because it's one of the only way I can rest my brain. I'm thinking all the time about my projects, my company, whatever. And this kind of entertainment is like a bit silly, and it allows me to kind of shut off my brain. So it's like a true crime podcast. Okay. What's the title? True crime? True crime. No, the title is a French one. It's called Enquête criminelle. Oh, yeah. Okay. I think I know it. Oh, yeah. Next people you'd like to hear in the podcast. Actually, when I saw this question, I thought of Martin Donadieu. But apparently it's too late. So I don't actually have, how to say, Peter Levels, if you can have him. He never accepts podcasts. Yeah. I mean, just a few. Yeah, of course, he's very selective and he has to be, otherwise it will be complicated. But why not Mark? I think he could be more
Yeah,
easy
but
to reach.
Martin told me that he's not accepting a podcast anymore because he
Makes
did
sense.
one episode with Martin. Martin,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
He said no more podcasts for a year.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna work with Mark.
Okay, that's sad.
All right, I will find out first. Don't worry. There are plenty of indie hackers
Yeah.
who need to be in the spotlight. And actually, and this is one also the spirit of the podcast. It's like I don't want to reach the famous guys. I want to reach also the people who not fail, but have like a decent amount of money on a monthly basis, or they try to craft their art at the beginning where they are still passionate and there is no seek for money, get rich quick.
Yeah.
It's more like we learn from everybody, and especially from the people who are at the beginning, because they try things. They are not really well known. Maybe they're going to become well known in the future, but there is value in everybody's experience, in everybody's insight. And this is why I wanted to have this podcast with, would say, a humble podcast, humble profiles. Like you and I, we don't have like thousands of followers on LinkedIn or Twitter, but we might learn so much. And actually, I wanted also to invite product managers and product builders to see that in corporates, we also have more and more people who want to build product, who want to create, because creation is very, like as I said, very powerful act. And it brings you so much energy that you can see that this vibe will spread also in corporates and also in companies. And so we need that. We need more creators in companies, in freelancing, and we need to talk to each other because product managers have like a literature on how to build products in a successful way. How do you iterate? How do you get user insight? So we can learn from everybody. So that's why the podcast.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm going to stop here. Where can we find you?
Mainly on LinkedIn, like I said, but it's in French. So I think I'm going to try to go back on Twitter in English. Twitter as well is a good solution for English speaker that listen to this episode.
Okay, we'll put the link in the description.
Okay.
All right. Maybe last question. Do you have any quotable quote, any sentence quote that you keep in mind to stay motivated, focused?
I don't know. Maybe I can change one, find an alternate one. Like, we have this in French we have this quote like impossible is not French, that were kind of bad, like it was not the original one, but something that Napoleon said.
Okay.
And I would like to think nothing is impossible, in a way that what Napoleon means is that we can do it. Like we can do it. And this is what I try to keep in mind, like nothing is impossible. Although there is, of course, thing impossible. But I try to keep in mind that if some people did it, I can do it as well, and I will do it.
Oh, yeah.
It's the idea behind the quotes.
It's a good mindset. And especially if you surround yourself with other makers and you're like, okay, that guy is making 10K per month. Oh, he did it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Then that means I can do it. You don't need to go for the star, shoot for stars, like I want to do like per month. Because there's only a tiny proportion of the population, a tiny portion of indie hackers who's gonna make it. It's a question of luck and work, and it's not ergodic. As I said at the beginning, we are living in a stochastic world. It's just like a few people who just reach that level. It's like rock stars or, influencers, stuff like that, just a tiny. So instead of focusing on this tiny proportion, media love that. The industry like to talk about those guys because they put stars in the eyes of the people. But wake up, guys. This is just the media. They like that because you're going to watch it, you're going to hear it. So the best thing to do is to say, stay relevant, stay in the ergodic, stay in the probability, and make sure that you can't beat the market. So don't shoot for the stars because you're going to be demotivated. Try to listen to the people who are more humble, but they do a decent job, and you're going to learn from them. And you're going to make sure that it's achievable because they did it. And not like the very few guys that achieved because of so much drama, but media that.
I guess the key is to stay realistic in the way that, like, I'm very optimistic. My girlfriend says I'm one of the most optimistic person ever, in the way that I am 100% convinced I can succeed and go far. But I'm realistic in the way that if I fail, I'm okay with that. And I know it's normal because it's part of the journey. The danger with all these people that succeed, that take all the space in the media, is a lot of people have hope to reach that point, but they don't know how hard it is to reach that. And that there is actually just a few percent of chances, like not even 0.1% of chances that they will reach that point. And the danger is that they will lose faith or motivation at the first failure. So it's good to have like kind of not idle, but to have people with a lot of success to aim for this, as long as you know you will probably not reach that point. It's just a matter of keeping motivation and not joking when you have a failure or something.
Yeah, I think you become a star by accident most of the time. You cannot, so it's better to say, I'm going to replicate that strategy because it works well. And if by accident I become a star, fine. But yeah, that's a bit the lesson I try to.
Yeah, we have to remain the realistic optimist. I think it's a weird combination, but I think this is one of the key.
Impossible as nothing. All right, Alex, thank you for all your insight. It was a very great episode. Thank you again. It was a pleasure, man.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, man. Have a nice evening. See you later. Bye, man.